The revealing moment. How a new employee silenced the millionaire's wife, changing everything forever. Ava Reynolds stepped into the sleek, tri-colored marble lobby of Westwood architecture, where the edges of ambition met the polished sheen of privilege. Today was not just another Tuesday. It was the day her voice would finally echo amongst the giants of the industry, the day she would make her imprint on Chicago's skyline. Yet the skyscrapers looming outside her window felt more like guardians of exclusion than symbols of potential. The weight of her working-class upbringing settled on her shoulders, a reminder of her father's back-breaking shifts in the factory and her mother's unyielding smile behind the diner counter. These memories fueled her heart, igniting a determination that thrummed beneath her skin. But the air in the conference room, crisp with expectation, carried a different energy, one that complicated Ava's resolve. Charles Westwood, the illustrious architect known for his Baroque designs, seemed to regard her as an afterthought, a mere footnote alongside his grand narratives. His wife, Laura, with lips tightened in condescension, made no secret of her disdain for Ava's progressive ideas. The challenging designs she championed weren't just a reflection of her values. They represented a clash against Laura's entrenched traditionalism, a breeding ground of snobbery and privilege. "Those concepts might fly in your little circles, Ava," Laura quipped, her heels clicking sharply on the floor. "But here we aim for glory." Ava's hands tightened, her fingers instinctively curling into fists as doubt crept in. Each time Laura shot down her innovations, ideas poured from community wisdom, screaming for sustainability, it chipped at her confidence. The looming design competition felt less like a fair fight and more like a minefield. She tossed in bed at night, walls shaking with the pressure of expectation. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Each night, Ava pored over her design, the blueprint of her dreams illuminated by the buzz of her dearly loved lamp. As hours turned into restless nights, she refined her proposal, determined to interweave a fabric of utility and grace, to craft solutions that reverberated with those who were most affected by the choices made in high-rises like Westwood's. Yet she could already hear the familiar scoffs, the thudding of her own heartbeat drowning out her protests against a tide of skepticism. On presentation day, the boardroom's atmosphere coiled around her anxiously, as if everything hung on the precipice of judgment. She stood tall, but beneath the veneer of confidence, her pulse raced and her palms grew damp. Laura's voice rang like a judge's gavel over the room, sucking the oxygen from Ava's lungs, intent on grounding her proposals into the traditional dustbin. But as Ava began to unfold her vision, each line and curve crafted with love for both environment and humanity, the air shifted. Memories of her family's struggles fluttered through her thoughts, her heart pounding, not with fear, but a relentless passion. Suddenly, in a profound moment of connection, Laura's gaze softened as Ava spoke of crumbling infrastructures impacting real lives. Unbeknownst to Ava, those very lives were tethered to Laura's past. A hush enveloped the room, tension thickening the atmosphere as Ava confronted the sharp reality of their worlds. Was this the bridge between hope and disillusionment? Would Laura's silence harbinger a change, or would it thicken the divide, sealing their fates in a quiet war over recognition versus reverence? As eyes widened and breaths became trapped, Ava charged through the tension. She stood poised, ready to confront the seemingly unbridgeable chasm. The stakes felt monumental. Would merit, untainted by privilege, finally claim its rightful place in the sun? The answer remained tantalizingly out of reach, heavy with the promise of tomorrow. Ava took a breath, summoning every ounce of resolve as she captured the room's attention. The tension lay thick like fog, wrapping around her shoulders as she leaned into her narrative. She was not just pitching a design, she was appealing to everything her upbringing had taught her about resilience and innovation. Each word picked up the weight of her history, her experiences infused with a truth that felt altogether raw and revolutionary. "Imagine," she began, her voice steadying as she gestured to a digital rendering of her project, "a building that doesn't merely house people, but engages with its environment. A space that utilizes rainwater systems, green walls, and solar panels, contributing positively to the community and challenging the status quo." The image projected on the screen flickered with promise, not just of concrete structures, but of a vision that celebrated connection, one that could breathe life into the weary outlines of the Chicago skyline. As she spoke, she noticed Laura's expression flicker, betraying a hint of curiosity. It was fleeting, like a shadow passing across the sun, but it was enough to spark a glimmer of hope within Ava. This could be the moment. But doubt slithered back, whispering that chinks in Laura's armor might be mere opportunities for dismissal. She pushed against the apprehension. "Everyone talks about sustainability as a luxury," Ava continued, her intensity piercing the boardroom's disbelief. "But it should be a standard. It's not elitist, it's essential. What if we redefined luxury not as exclusivity, but as accessibility?" The words landed heavily against the polished wood of the conference table. Ava's heart surged, fueled by passion as she locked eyes with Charles. He sat up straight, intrigued by her fire. This was different. She was no longer a footnote. She was an advocate, challenging a titan. After what felt like an eternity, silence draped itself over the room. A cold bead of fear snaked down her spine, coiling conspicuously. Laura's gaze flickered away, distorting the moment's electricity. Ava willed her words to echo in that stillness, driving nails into the chasm between them and summoning a weighty sense of agency. "Every design tells a story," she pressed further. "If we choose to tell this story, why can't it be one that amplifies voices instead of silencing them?" A murmur of acknowledgement washed over some members of the board, swayed by Ava's sincerity. But just as quickly, she sensed the discontent radiating from Laura, whose nostrils flared, a wildfire about to erupt. "It's more complicated than idealistic talk," Laura snapped, her voice cutting through Ava's fervor like a sharp, serrated knife. "These designs must sell. They must dazzle. You're too naive to understand the real market's demands." Ava's pulse quickened, and a sudden clarity struck her. This exchange wasn't merely professional, it was deeply personal, layered with all the scars of an underdog fighting not just for respect, but for validation in a world that considered her presence a deviation from its norms. In that charged moment, she realized she stood not only for herself, but for all the women overlooked, for everyone who had ever poured their heart into dreams sidelined by privilege's crushing weight. It was now or never. She could let the moment slip away or seize it fiercely. "Perhaps it's time the market evolve," Ava replied, her voice solidifying like granite. "Design should not sell out the community. It should cater to it. If you'll allow me to prove that, I believe we can inspire a movement." Laura's expression hardened, a tempest lying in wait. Ava felt the enormity of her proposal crystallizing, but the confrontation ahead felt palpable, charged with implications. Would she persuade them to embrace a new narrative? Or would she face the venom of rejection, fated to return home with unfinished dreams? The clock continued to tick. Breaths were held within the confines of the room, and the culmination of Ava's aspirations teetered on the edge of a knife, begging to see if courage could tip the balance. This was her turning point. But would it be one of triumph or of crushing defeat? The next moments would tell. Ava's heart pounded in her chest, each beat echoing the uncertainty swirling in the room. She could see the board members shifting in their seats, their faces masks of indecision. But it was Laura's expression, frozen, a fusion of disbelief and impending judgment that felt like the focus of a heated spotlight. The air felt stale, oppressive. Ava fought the instinct to retreat, anchoring herself to the moment. It occurred to her that this was more than just a project proposal. It was a defining moment in her career, a critical juncture where ideals would be weighed against pragmatism. Every innovation sparked from a desire to help others, she continued, pushing forward, her voice a gritty whisper of determination. We have an obligation to shape the future for everyone, not just for a privileged few. A flicker of emotion passed across Charles' face, a glimmer of understanding apparent. He had always been the one who valued authenticity over superficiality. Encouraged by his reaction, Ava pressed on, crafting her argument with even greater fervor. Laura interjected, her tone dangerously calm. We're talking about a business model, Ava. The world doesn't operate solely on idealism. If you want to succeed here, you should adjust your perspective. The words stung like acid, but Ava felt an unexpected surge of resilience. I understand the market dynamics, she countered, but when we prioritize profit over community, we lose something much larger, a legacy, a future. At that moment, Ava's mind raced, contemplating her own past and the countless barriers she had faced. She thought of her mother, who had navigated a world rife with obstacles to provide for her family. Each echo of that tenacity lived within her, forming the core of her being. This was not just about architecture. It was a challenge to the very status quo that sought to silence voices like hers. The room crackled with tension. Laura's hardened facade momentarily faltered as a flush crept into her cheeks. But she quickly regained composure, pivoting on her heel, a defensive posture that reeked of denial. Ava, your idealism could bury this firm, she warned. What you propose is practically quixotic. Ava inhaled deeply, an image crystallizing in her mind of what failure meant. It was a place she could no longer afford to visit. There's nothing quixotic about seeking a balance between commerce and conscience, she stated firmly. It's called evolution. Silence enveloped them again, each gaze locked on her, weighing her resolve against their expectations. In that charged moment, Ava felt lighter, dispelling the chains of self-doubt that had bound her for so long. She realized the world would not hand her validation. She had to claim it fiercely, unapologetically. As faces around the table shifted, pondering Ava's words, she sensed the tectonic plates of the conversation shifting. Laura was not simply an antagonist, she was a catalyst for Ava's growth, transforming fear into fuel through her defiance. Ava glanced towards the screen, her vision blurring momentarily with the outline of her design. That rendering was no longer just a blueprint. It embodied the heartbeats of so many, echoing their dreams. Imagine a world, Ava said, her voice growing bolder, where buildings flourish in symbiosis with their cultures, where innovation thrives by embracing those who traditionally go overlooked. Could she see acceptance in their expressions, or were they simply politicking for Laura's approval? Dazzling designs can emerge without compromising core values. That's the challenge I'm willing to face. And just as those words left her lips, her phone vibrated in her pocket. A message from her mentor, a simple affirmation of faith. The storm of self-doubt continued to rage internally, but Ava felt a resolve hardening within her. She was prepared to confront whatever came next, for this fight was hers. Stepping boldly into the unknown was the only way forward, a path she had to carve for herself. Would this journey lead to acceptance or rejection? Ava could almost taste the bittersweet tension of what lay ahead, looming like a thick tide ready to rise. She took another breath. The next battle was about to unfold. Would she have the courage to question everything, even the cost of her dreams? Ava's determination blossomed as the silence wrapped around her like a protective cloak. Each heartbeat was a reminder of her commitment to the cause she so passionately defended. She could sense the shift. A glimmer of possibility reflected in Charles's eyes, a silent acknowledgement that perhaps her vision wasn't as quixotic as Laura had claimed. Yet Ava understood that the true test lay beyond this boardroom. This was merely the spark. Would it ignite a lasting change or fade into a flicker of forgotten possibility? As the meeting adjourned, her mind buzzed with anticipation and anxiety intertwined. She could feel Laura's steely gaze burning into her, a lingering threat that made her realize how much was at stake. Once outside the sterile confines of the boardroom, Ava took a moment to collect her thoughts. The fluorescent lights overhead felt glaring, yet they illuminated her path. The way forward was murky with uncertainty, but one thing was clear. She had thrust herself from the shadows and into a spotlight she never anticipated owning. Walking through the design studio, she allowed herself to replay the conversation in her mind, each phrase echoing with new meaning. If you want to succeed here, you should adjust your perspective. That statement felt increasingly hollow, a conventional trap she refused to fall into again. She resolved to surround herself with like-minded individuals who believed in championing conscientious designs, not just abstract profits. With renewed clarity, she approached the drafting table where her colleagues were hunched over their projects. Her heart raced at the thought of sharing her story, of sparking inspiration in others who might not have believed they could challenge the norm. In that moment, she realized this wasn't just about her own success. It was about pioneering a culture of innovation that embraced empathy and shared values. "Ava," called out Jamie, one of her colleagues, pulling her from her reverie. "Great presentation! You really gave it to Laura, didn't you?" Ava chuckled lightly, but it was the uncertainty in Jamie's eyes that made her pulse quicken. "I just started to feel like it was time for something different," she replied, hesitating before adding, "But does that even matter?" "Of course it does," Jamie said, earnest enthusiasm brightening her expression. "We need voices like yours around here." At that moment, Ava understood. Standing apart from the status quo wouldn't just require conviction. It demanded a concerted effort to cultivate an environment where alternative ideas were welcomed and cherished. She could start with her peers, inspiring them to push boundaries, not just in their designs, but in their aspirations. However, the next step loomed like an insurmountable wall. She needed to reach beyond her immediate circle, up to those wielding influence over firm decisions. That meant confronting Laura again, this time not merely as an adversary, but as a necessary antagonist in her quest for transformation. Ava mulled over her strategy as she found her way to her workspace. She needed a plan that resonated with the firm's core values without sacrificing her ideals. It was crucial to frame her future proposals in a way that highlighted harmony, a business model where profits and values could coexist. Later that afternoon, invigorated by a sense of purpose, Ava drafted a comprehensive plan to present at their next meeting. outlining specific projects that would weave community elements into architectural designs. She visualized each step, noticing how the outlines and sketches of her ideas flowed seamlessly on the pages, each brushstroke a manifestation of her resolve to alter the architectural narrative. But even as she worked, doubts crept back in. Was she bold enough to confront the establishment, or would she too be swept away by its currents? A notification chimed on her phone, pulling Ava from her thoughts. It was a calendar reminder: meeting with Laura, revisit design proposal. A chill ran down her spine. The moment had arrived to face her greatest challenge. Would she emerge as the architect of change, or would her vision dissolve into the clamor of conventionality? She set her jaw, leaning closer to the sketches, as if their mere presence would shield her from whatever Laura might throw her way. Who would truly take the leap alongside her? As Ava prepared for the confrontation, she couldn't shake the feeling that with every decision, every calculated risk, her professional identity was evolving. The firm's legacy rested not just on the blueprints they designed, but on the hearts and minds they dared to transform. And with that awareness, another question simmered to the surface. Would fear drive her into silence, or would courage propel her towards a groundbreaking revelation, both for herself and her profession? Ava's heart raced as she prepared for the meeting with Laura, every beat a reminder of the stakes involved. The gravity of the moment weighed heavily on her mind. This was no longer just a presentation, but a crossroads that could redefine her career and her ideals. She glanced at her sketches again, each line a testament to her belief in designs that harmonized form and function with social responsibility. Her nerves dulled slightly as she centered herself. This wasn't merely about persuasion, it was about aligning her vision with the firm's mission. If she framed her proposals not as radical ideas, but as a necessary evolution, she might sway opinion in her favor. She could almost hear Laura's dismissive tone echoing in her head. It was a reminder of her skepticism, and it ignited a fire within Ava. "Show them it's not just a dream," she whispered to herself. The mantra steered her through the din of the studio, a reminder to face the impending confrontation with clarity and purpose. As the meeting approached, Ava felt her various strategies vying for attention within her mind. Should she directly challenge Laura's authority, or should she appeal to the company's pride in its innovation? It was a balancing act, and her fingers tapped restlessly on the drafting table, the rhythm mirroring her racing thoughts. When the time finally arrived, Ava stepped into the conference room, her confidence shored up by a deep breath. The atmosphere was laden with expectation. Charles sat at the head of the table, flanked by several colleagues, including Laura, whose gaze held a mix of curiosity and disdain. Ava swallowed hard, the familiar taste of apprehension mixing with determination. "Thank you all for gathering today," she began, attempting to project calm. "I'm excited to present my proposal for integrating community-oriented designs into our upcoming projects." Laura leaned back, arms crossed, an eyebrow arched in skepticism. "What makes you think this is even feasible? Our clients are looking for profitability, not social experiments." The challenge ignited the flame inside Ava. "I believe they can coexist," she replied, her voice steadying as the words spilled forth. "We can offer solutions that enhance our projects while also benefiting the community. This approach can differentiate us in a competitive market." As she detailed her ideas, Ava observed the subtle shifts in her colleagues' faces, a blend of intrigue and doubt. They seemed to lean in closer, captivated by her vision. She poured her passion into the presentation, weaving personal anecdotes from her experiences in community development. Each story was a thread that connected her ideals with tangible outcomes. However, the moment her gaze flickered to Laura, she caught the stark hostility etched in her expression, a tableau of disbelief that threatened to crack Ava's resolve. For a fleeting moment, her confidence wavered. Perhaps Laura was right. Perhaps this was merely a naive aspiration built on impractical dreams. But then she thought of her colleagues, of the changes she could inspire. Ava straightened her posture, steeling herself against Laura's piercing glare. Fostering community in our designs isn't just innovative, it's a moral commitment for our company, she pressed further, daring to look at each person in the room. This could transform lives and also elevate our firm's profile in the industry. The silence that followed felt suffocating. Laura's gaze was fixed, as if measuring Ava's conviction against her own cynicism. "I find your passion admirable," Laura finally said with a slight sneer, "but please don't confuse this with reality." Ava's heart thudded painfully. She had expected resistance, but the dismissal cut deeper than she anticipated. Still, she seized the moment, confidence igniting new resolve in her voice. "But what if we choose to challenge the very notion of reality? What if, by broadening our approach, we carve out a new identity for our firm, one that resonates with a larger audience?" The room buzzed with murmurs. Her colleagues seemed to wrestle between loyalty to Laura and curiosity about Ava's perspective. Yet doubt still loomed, and as the tension thickened, Ava struggled to regain the momentum she'd built. "Look, I'm not denying that profits matter, but we cannot grow by ignoring our influence on people's lives. It's a symbiotic relationship," she insisted, her excitement punctuating her words. Just then, she caught Charles nodding slightly, a glimmer of recognition sparking there that made her pulse quicken. A flicker of hope amid the uncertainty. But could it transform into action? The meeting was about to reach a definitive crossroads, and Ava realized the outcome was ultimately uncertain, but she had planted the seed of possibility. What lay ahead could either shape her path into an architect of societal change or reduce her voice to mere background noise. And then, just as she was about to flesh out the next phases of her plan, a deep breath filled her lungs as she prepared for Laura's next rebuttal. Would this fire only incite the flames of opposition, or could it fuel a broader conversation that shifted the very foundations of their work? Ava steeled herself for the storm brewing within the conference room. Peering past Laura's unsympathetic eyes, she sensed the subtle shift amongst her colleagues. Some leaned forward, inquisitive, while others exchanged furtive glances, uncertain of where to align their allegiances. This moment was pivotal. It could either fortify her standing or erase her aspirations altogether.
"Laura," Ava began, her voice gaining strength, "what if we could show our clients their impact on the communities they touch? It's not just about building structures, it's about erecting bonds." The disdain in Laura's eyes narrowed further, but Ava pressed on, aware that each word held the weight of her dreams. "Our latest project could feature designs that address housing shortages while prioritizing sustainability. Imagine the media coverage, the recognition." Laura snorted, tilting her head. "Media attention doesn't pay the bills, Ava. Our clients need assurances, not ideals woven into emotional rhetoric." "Then let's give them both," Ava countered, her heart hammering against her chest as she leaned into the challenge. "By embedding economic viability within socially conscious designs, we become pioneers. Think about it. Clients would choose us over competitors who cling to outdated motives." A beat of silence hung in the air as Laura's incredulous smirk faltered for just an instant, allowing a crack in her armor. Ava noticed, taking it as an opening. Like a tightrope walker, she found her balance. Studies show that socially responsible investments yield higher long-term returns. We won't just be building, we'll be creating a legacy." In the corner of the room, Charles shifted in his seat, drawing Ava's attention further. His nod, subtle yet affirming, ignited a new flame of hope within her. "Consider this," she continued, letting her vision flow freely now. "We could program neighborhood engagement through our designs. These structures could host community events, create small business opportunities. This isn't just about bricks and mortar, it's about giving power back to the people." In the space of that moment, something unique transpired. Ava no longer felt like a mere employee hoping to appease her superiors. She recognized that she was a catalyst. Yet, beneath the current of adrenaline coursing through her veins, a pang of doubt lingered. Would they see her vision as reckless optimism? The finer line between brilliance and foolishness began to blur. Her earlier mantra echoed in her mind. Show them it's not just a dream, it's a paradigm shift. No sooner had she finished her thought than Laura launched her retort, sharp as a blade. "Your ideas are grand, Ava, but practicality rules this industry. We cannot afford to deviate for the sake of lofty ideals. Venture further from the path, and it'll spell our ruin." Ava breathed in deeply, noting the fiery resolve gripping her chest. Perhaps this was a test, a rite of passage, whether to fold under pressure or transcend it. But isn't it risk that has driven even the wealthiest to their heights? We are architects of change, and embracing the unknown is part of that journey, she emphasized, her voice steady. Suddenly, an unexpected voice rose from the back of the room. Ryan, a newer team member. "Wait, but she's right."
What if we're missing out on a potential market that is right at our doorstep? Ava's conversation deserves our attention. The room went still, and Ava's heart leaped. She hadn't anticipated support from an unexpected source. Ryan's words acted as a catalyst, allowing others to consider the breadth of possibility Ava had painted. Whispers continued, and they sounded different this time, intrigued, aspirational. Laura, visibly agitated, turned to Charles, who seemed ensnared in thought. Ava's pulse quickened with anticipation. The dynamic was shifting, and she pressed into that momentum. "Let's turn this around. Let's prove to our clients that giving back is not charity, but good business. Let's redefine success together." As murmurs escalated, Ava realized she had just stumbled onto the brink of something that could either elevate her to new heights or yield her painfully exposing criticisms. What would Charles decide? That question loomed, weighty and potent, as Ava awaited the next move. It was clear that the game had changed. She had ignited the room. But would she be able to bear the repercussions of this new life she was coaxing into existence? The chance for transformation lay on the table, but it required courage to brave the fallout of stepping beyond the familiar. Would her colleagues rally behind her vision, or would Laura's cold pragmatism snuff the fire before it ignited? Ava held her breath as the room swirled with uncertainty. Charles finally shifted his gaze from Laura to her, weighing the gravity of her words against the status quo. The silence was a living entity, heavy with anticipation. She could almost hear her own heartbeat echoing in the stillness, a reminder that she had crossed an invisible line. "Charles, what do you think?" Laura's voice dripped with condescension as she tried to regain control of the narrative. "We've pursued profitability above all else for years, and it served us well." "Maybe it's time for a change," Charles finally uttered, his voice solid, devoid of her heavy undertone. "Ava's ideas are thought-provoking. We cannot ignore the shift in consumer values." Ava felt the walls of her self-doubt cracking. She was forging her path, inch by inch, But with each breath, she also felt the stakes rising higher. What if they failed? What if this sparked more than just scrutiny, but set her at odds with her entire team? "Charles, with all due respect," Laura interjected, her voice sharp, "we cannot gamble on some aesthetic notion of building bonds. Our primary responsibility is to innovate," Ava interjected, her voice rising again as adrenaline overcame her restraint. "If we fail to adapt, we'll be left behind. The world is shifting beneath us, and we need to lead rather than just react." A palpable tension filled the air. The colleagues around her exchanged hesitant glances, some daring to entertain the idea, yet unsure about stepping into the fray alongside her. In that charged atmosphere, Ava recognized a painful truth. This was more than a room full of colleagues. It was a realm of power dynamics, ambitions woven like a dense tapestry, with each person playing their part. She was no longer simply a dreamer in the corner, but an agent of that change. "Why not pilot the approach?" Ryan suggested, subtly affirming her renewed position. A smaller project with these ideas could showcase feasibility. It might even attract new clients. Ava's heart swelled. This was support turning into strategy. Glancing at Ryan, she saw not just a colleague, but a potential ally, someone who believed they could push the envelope without incurring disastrous repercussions. Their collaboration, though untested, unveiled a twofold opportunity, one that would either bring revitalization or lay her dreams in ruin. With the stakes laid bare and options unfolding, Ava felt the force of decision bind her. Could she navigate the tender thread of diplomacy needed to maintain harmony while pushing boldly against inertia? "A pilot project it is then," she declared, her voice firm, "but I am defining what it looks like." Laura's expression darkened, her resolve hardening as she closed the space with a deliberate stride. "Your measure of success isn't necessarily ours. Are you prepared for the scrutiny should this fail?" "You'll never know if you don't take risks," Ava countered, a newfound fierceness igniting within her. "But if we succeed, imagine the influence we could wield and the new heights we could reach." The din of debate in the room crescendoed, gripping everyone with the realm of possibility. Yet even as they began to engage, a shadow of trepidation tightened around Ava's gut. This was not turning back. This was her stepping into unknown territory. Suddenly, Laura's laughter cut through the chatter. "You think making these bonds will shield you from the industry standards? I hope you're prepared for the backlash." Ava's confidence quivered, but she wouldn't allow it to show. Would her drive for innovation be perceived as naivete, or would it foster genuine progress? The conversation shifted, but the weight of Laura's words settled like a stone in her stomach. Ava understood the stakes had changed. Innovation often comes hand in hand with danger. The meeting concluded with a tremor of enthusiasm shimmering in the air, but deep within, Ava wrestled with a profound truth. Intentions could be distorted, and ambition could present unforeseen obstacles. With determination anchoring her, she stepped out of the conference room, only to discover that the path ahead blurred with uncertainty. What awaited her beyond those doors? Each step she took resonated like the closing of a door behind her, ushering in the exhilarating fear of becoming a true leader on multiple fronts, personal and professional. In her resolve, she sensed a new beginning on the horizon, but when the challenges surged, how would she navigate the incoming storm? Ava leaned against the wall, the buzz of chatter from the conference room reverberating in her head. Although adrenaline fueled her, doubts whispered menacingly, reminding her of all that could go wrong. She took a deep breath and straightened, willing herself to move forward despite the uncertainty that loomed before her. Determination was a choice. She knew it would be easy to retreat into safer, more familiar ways of thinking, that nagging voice of comfort that promised security over chaos. Yet she had tasted the bittersweet flavor of ambition, and it had awakened a hunger that could not be settled with mere stability. This was her chance to innovate, to rise above the expectations set by others, and to truly make her mark. As she strode down the corridor, she spotted Ryan leaning casually against her office door. His supportive smile cut through the tension that had clung to her like fog. "You were brilliant back there," he said, the sincerity of his praise warming her resolve. "Thank you," she replied, trying to conceal the tremor in her voice. "But I can't help feeling like I'm marching toward a cliff." "Or a breakthrough," Ryan countered, stepping into her office as she invited him in. "Look, we've both seen how the market dynamics are shifting. If we take a fresh approach now, we could be at the forefront when others are still trying to figure things out." His words rejuvenated her spirit, but doubt still lingered. What if this project fails and it all lands on me? I'm not just dabbling in creative concepts, I'm risking our credibility. What if Laura's predictions come true? Then we learn from it. You're not alone in this. His eyes flicked toward the pitch deck spread across her desk. It's not just your vision, it's a team effort. Besides, you're more capable than you realize. Ava met his gaze, the weight of his affirmation a tether in the tumult of her thoughts. Perhaps she had underestimated not only her own capabilities, but also the strength of collaboration. This was no solitary battle. It was a collective endeavor, one that would teach her as much about leadership as it did about industry dynamics. Each decision would steer her closer to either success or failure, and suddenly both outcomes began to loom equally large in her mind. In that moment, she recognized an important truth. Her fear was not just about potential failure, but rather the possibility of profound personal growth that came with overcoming it. "Okay," she said, taking a seat and tapping her fingers against the polished surface of her desk. "Let's outline our pilot project. If we're going to do this, we must do it right." Ryan grinned, the spark of excitement kindling within him as he joined her in brainstorming ideas. They exchanged thoughts, pushing each other to refine her vision into actionable steps.
Their conversation flowed, creativity igniting enthusiasm. But as they thrashed out strategies, Ava couldn't shake the vivid image of Laura's disapproving glare, looming like a storm cloud overhead. The clash between their visions felt increasingly personal, a challenge not only to their professional aspirations, but also to their identities. Later that evening, as Ava walked to her car, the evening air provided a moment of clarity. She understood that success was built on both risk and resilience. Facing Laura hadn't been merely office politics, it was a defining point in her journey, thrusting her against someone who embodied everything Ava had fought against: traditionalism and fear. Yet part of her questioned whether the impending backlash from Laura was unavoidable. She needed to prepare for a potential onslaught of resistance that might take various shapes. How could she counter Laura's scrutiny effectively and transform it into an opportunity for her cause? The thoughts circled back to how she would choose to frame this pilot project. She needed a clear vision, not just for the project, but for becoming the leader she aspired to be. Something more than just her title. An innovator who could withstand storms. As she started her car, a new pulse of determination surged within her. She would face whatever came next, even if it meant confronting misunderstandings, criticism, or worse, the disappointment of her colleagues. But amidst her resolve lingered a question that stimulated her anxiety. How far was she willing to go to protect her ambitions from a formidable adversary like Laura? Gazing out at the fading sunset, Ava felt the horizon stretch before her with the promise of challenges unseen. The moment to confront those unwritten conflicts was drawing closer, and she had to be ready. Little did she know, a surprise maneuver awaited that would ultimately alter the fate of the project. The winds of change were not merely gathering, they were set to strike. Ava awoke the following morning with a tension that felt as palpable as the thick blanket of clouds outside her window. The whispers of doubt from the day before still lingered, but today they were overshadowed by that simmering resolve she had embraced. She didn't just want to be part of the creative team, she wanted to lead it, to shape it in a way that broke free from the constraints of conventional thinking. Arriving at the office, she sensed a shift in the atmosphere. The usual hum of productivity was punctuated by nervous murmurs and hurried footsteps. As she dropped her bag on her desk, Ryan appeared, his face a mix of concern and excitement. "Have you heard about the new hire?" he asked, glancing around as if their conversation might attract unwanted attention. New hire? Ava's stomach twisted at the thought. No, what about them? They're coming in today. Apparently they've got some major accolades and fresh ideas. It seems like Laura is pinning everything on this person.
Ryan's voice was low, as if speaking of a threat that loomed over them. Ava felt a wave of apprehension wash over her. Instead of another ally to bolster her bold visions, it seemed Laura had secured yet another weapon to push her agenda. Confidence waned and uncertainty set in as the clock ticked closer to the newcomer's start time. What if this employee had all the charisma and creativity that she lacked? All of her efforts to innovate felt at risk of being overshadowed. Yet, amidst the swirl of doubt, an ember of motivation ignited within her. "No one can replace me," she whispered to herself, focusing on her past struggles and victories. She had fought fiercely to carve a niche with her ideas, and she would not let someone's arrival derail her plans. When the new hire entered, attention turned. Ava blinked as the individual walked in, an unassuming figure with an aura of quiet confidence. Their name was Jordan, and what seemed to follow was an exhilarating blend of intellect and inventive spirit. Jordan's piercing blue eyes surveyed the room, absorbing an environment ripe for inspiration, creating an immediate buzz among the staff. Ava watched from the periphery, calculating her approach. Were they meant to butt heads, or was collaborating on larger-scale visions possible? Her instinct screamed to meet this challenge head-on. After all, a new perspective could be an advantage rather than a threat. Throughout the morning, Jordan presented ideas that were both fresh and resonant. Yet, instead of shrinking back, Ava felt a surge of competitive spirit. She volleyed her input into the ongoing discussion, weaving her vision into the fabric of Jordan's insights. It was exhilarating and terrifying all at once, pushing her beyond what she had deemed comfortable. "Why not merge our approaches?" Ava suggested, emboldened. "Your focus on sustainability could enhance the product line I'm pitching. If we combine innovation with eco-friendliness, it becomes more marketable, and it's what the current consumers are looking for." Jordan's expression shifted, a hint of surprise sparking curiosity. "That's an interesting take. I'd like to explore that further." Ava's heart raced. She hadn't expected such a response. But Laura's looming figure quite literally passed through the door, flicking her gaze disapprovingly. Ava noticed how she studied their interaction, searching their faces for weakness or conflict. Ava could feel her resolve hardening. This was her moment to solidify her place and to make a statement not just as a team member, but as a leader. After the meeting, Ava approached Jordan. "Can we brainstorm some more later? I think we can create something transformative together," she proposed, her voice steady despite the nervousness swirling within. Jordan nodded, their smile infectious. "Absolutely, let's email each other to set a time." Ava turned away, an excitement bubbling within her. She had opened herself up to collaboration, and contrary to her fears, it felt invigorating. Yet as she looked back toward Laura's office, she sensed the underlying tension would not dissipate easily. Navigating her growing connection with Jordan while managing Laura's expectations was bound to be complicated. Emboldened by this unexpected alliance, Ava was ready to redefine her role. She didn't need to outshine anyone. She had to shine brighter as part of a team. As Ava sat at her desk planning her next move, the phone buzzed in her pocket. An email from Jordan. A wave of anticipation washed over her, coupled with the unease of potential challenges ahead. How would Laura react to this budding partnership? In that moment, Ava realized that each step forward could be met with resistance, yet every confrontation would solidify her resolve. The project was shifting shape, but now she had someone alongside her in this unfamiliar race. Little did she know, Laura was preparing to make a play that could either propel Ava's ambitions or throw them spiraling downwards. The stakes had risen, and the game had only just begun. Ava stood atop the rooftop terrace, the weight of the Chicago skyline framing her as the sun set behind the concrete giants. The breath of the city flowed around her, vibrant and pulsing with possibility. Reflecting on the challenges she had faced, she felt transformed, an architect of change directing her path. The present moment unfolded as a testament to not just her skills, but her newfound confidence, one forged in the fires of necessity and passion for social responsibility. Last week had been monumental. After forging a successful partnership with Jordan by blending their ideas for community-responsive architecture, the pilot proposal had gained full support from Charles. Executing that collaboration had not only solidified her place within the firm, but had also allowed her to ally with someone who understood the gravity of their mission. Their project could create positive impacts on local communities, illuminating the best of what architecture could offer. With their proposal now on the table, Ava had taken to the wider audience, presenting the innovative designs that would prioritize both economic viability and ecological stewardship. At her first public speaking engagement, she spoke from the podium with clarity and command, framing their collective vision as not just a project, but a movement, one that could break the boundaries of conventional expectations within the industry. As the designs were unveiled, feedback poured in from every angle. Professionals praised the proposed initiatives, builders saw possibilities, and community members began to lend their voices in support. Ava stood dauntless, embracing this shift. Gone were the echoes of Laura's skepticism. Now they were met with enthusiasm. But even still, Ava knew that behind her growing success loomed a specter, a constant reminder of the opposition she had faced.
On the day of the second major design review, in a twist unexpected yet thrilling, Laura announced she'd be part of the panel. Ava stood against the odds, fully prepared to articulate her vision again. She was equipped now, having learned to navigate confrontations with sensitivity and confidence. Ava walked into the room, and it felt electric. A mixture of anticipation and anxiety thrummed within her. Laura, seated, regarded her with an edge of challenge, sharp yet somehow less menacing than before. It was as if the tides were shifting. Ava recognized her former adversary as simply another component of her ongoing narrative. The presentation began, and Ava anchored herself in the content, transitioning from slides showcasing the project's centerpiece, the innovative communal space designed to foster engagement, to the data illustrating the financial benefits of integrating social responsibility.
She kept her voice steady, projecting assurance as she detailed not only beauty but purpose. And as the final visuals graced the screen, she felt the full arc of her journey come into view. "Every design tells a story," she reiterated, her voice steady and unwavering. "We are not just building, we are forging connections that transcend concrete. Design must be about community, sustainability, and the service of those who inhabit it." A wave of silence blanketed the room. A moment lingered, each breath taken by the audience felt synchronized with the message she had delivered. Ava glanced toward Laura, who sat statuesque, betraying hints of contemplation. The challenge had become an evolution, a transformation from rivalry to respect. Charles finally interjected. "Let's move forward with the pilot project and test these concepts. It's time to embrace this new narrative." As the meeting concluded and the energy in the room shifted to optimism, Ava's heart soared. She had proven her individual growth and earned this acknowledgement, not just for her ideas, but for her determination to embrace both criticism and collaboration. This success solidified her position within the firm. Ava felt secure, not just in engineering buildings, but nurturing the future of architectural design. Laura's once dominating presence had metamorphosed into a catalyst for her empowerment, the weight of privilege transforming into a point of introspection. Emboldened, Ava navigated back to her workspace, greeted by Ryan and the rest of the team. They celebrated small wins. Her victory at this meeting set a precedent for a new way of working together. With each cheer, Ava's confidence crystallized further. She was evolving as a leader, and her ambition expanded beyond individual aspirations. Days later, as she watched the construction of their pilot project begin, Ava felt profound satisfaction settle within her. She realized that she was not merely fulfilling her dreams, she had paved an avenue for others to walk alongside her. Each brick laid stood for reconnection between design and community, between aspiration and reality. Standing on that rooftop, breezes whispering the city's secrets, Ava envisioned a horizon alive with thriving communities and resilient architecture. Shepherded by her voice, a voice once trembling with uncertainty, now resonating with recognition and the promise of what could be achieved. For anyone who doubts their vision or places, courage and conviction fuel change. Step forth into your destiny, reshape the narratives around you, voice your passion, and watch as barriers dissolve. This is your call to action. Embrace your voice. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. The conversation starts with you. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of supporting this channel through these actions.